represent the Council of Canadians. We have endeavored to encourage the Council to have a democratic debate about the future of Site 41, which is long overdue. Maud Barlow has written to the Council, urging the Council to do precisely that, and putting forward a motion for a moratorium. In response to that, and her specific request to make a deputation to Council later today or tomorrow on that proposal, she was invited to participate in this session in order to make her concerns about the site public and known. Every attempt to discover how this was going to be organized, how much time she would have to make a presentation, what rights of participation others here who have been seeking them for so long and been frustrated in their efforts to do so would be given, were ignored. So we appear today only to discover that precisely what we're concerned about, which is you explaining the rationale for a site which no one has any confidence in the earth and wants to be able to share their concerns with members of Council about, is being frustrated by this reiteration of the old story over and over again, which most people here understand
then let me do two
and
things.
want to comment on. The absence of councillors in the room, the absence of councillors in the room is also a great concern for us.
Well,
This session is not a substitute.
You're making a speech at this point.
Yeah, this session is not a substitute
If you could
for the democratic debate that is being sought by the community about
let me
this
answer
site.
this.
You're
This is
just
a-
here to brainwash you.
People sitting up here are technicians and engineers. They're not your politicians.
Where are they?
Right here.
I
This
just
is
want to
a
point out
technical
that
information session.
we've asked for an opportunity to speak to elected officials,
Okay, this
to
isn't that
county
opportunity.
councillors.
The county
It's-
council meeting is taking place starting at 11.
Yes.
If you want to talk to the politicians, that's the place to do it. This is not.
I don't see a point in negotiating.
You're not negotiating with the engineers. The engineers aren't negotiating.
Mr. Chairman, may I suggest that we just begin finally allowing people to speak? And I should respectfully request that I be allowed to say something on behalf of myself and my client, Vicky Monet.
Well,
And
if
it's
you
not
could
about-
please, I'm supposed to be looking after this meeting.
Yes, you are, sir.
And what I'm asking you to do, I've suggested, let's abbreviate the presentation.
Yes, let's abbreviate them. They're done.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
hear the other side now, sir. Simcoe County's been doing for years. That's what you said you didn't know about this, sir. You didn't appreciate the position you were put in. Well, you should appreciate it now. For years, this is what's been happening to people. They've been stonewalled and given nonsense instead of the opportunity to have their real questions answered. And sir, I would really
I'm not
request...
going to ask the questions that were prepared. I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask
So
them.
let's get to it. Let's get to it. And sir,
Let's get to it.
may I respectfully begin with a sub-statement and let's get to the real part of this meeting?
Could we let these presentations be finished?
They're finished. They're finished, sir. People have heard it all already. They're sick of it. Now, you know, my name is Peter Rosenthal. I represent Vicky Monet, but I'm not representing Vicky Monet here. I'm representing myself. I became concerned as a citizen about these issues. And I want to speak briefly and ask for responses about the calibrated model and why they're not giving it over. I read what they say. They've said nonsense here, sir. And the fact of the matter is, Mr. Green, representing the county, spoke to the Barrie City Council last night. He said there's a concern the model might be tweaked. That's what they say a lot. Well, the model is digital, is it not, Mr. Hims? Don't answer right now. There'll be a bunch of questions for you. It's digital, and it'll be reproduced. It won't be that you give up your model. There won't be any problem for your model. Now, originally, Jagger Hims said the problem with turning over the model is that it might not be expertly evaluated and so on. Mr. McCullough testified the expert that the CMC hired was an expert, was capable. Now, they're concerned, they say, that there may be different results. Yes, indeed. If there are different results by another expert, the Ministry of the Environment had better take note. This is something that could damage the water, not only for this area, but all around Ontario and even further. Why not have a second assessment? They keep on changing the reasons. They stalled for 2 years in front of the privacy commissioner. There is no excuse for that, and the privacy commissioner has recognized it. How much money has the county spent fighting against turning over the model? They say they spent $127,000 on a tripartite meeting. That was a charade like this presentation, glossy presentations. Nobody can do an independent assessment at that meeting, and they misquote Mr. Rowe, the expert hired by the CNC.
Can you bear with me, because you have interrupted me a bunch of times?
I have indeed. I have indeed. If you give me one more minute, I will sit down.
Give me one chance to ask you.
They
You're
do-
asking a question and expecting an answer from some of these people. If you could just ask a question, I'll try to make sure you get an answer. You're asking a bunch of questions, and I've lost track.
Yes, thank you. That's right. Well, I would
if you
respectfully
could sort
request
of-
that all the questions be put before there are any answers, because other people have a right to speak here too.
Well-
Why do they not talk about Mr. Rose saying there's a caveat because he didn't have the model? How can they expect an assessment publicly in 3 days, something that would take a month or two with somebody who has the model? The only responsible thing to do, is it not, Mr. McCullough, is to allow a moratorium so there's enough time for an independent expert having the calibrated model and whatever that person needs to do a serious study. If you people want to see what these people say when they're under oath, not 10 years, Mr. McCullough, but you said 10 to 20 years and so on, the transcripts are posted on the Dump Site 41
Could I
website.
please have a...
Thank you very much.
No, I'd like your question.
I didn't think you'd invite me to say any more, but I'm happy. My question is, did I say anything false? Did I say anything false, Mr. Hims, about your company giving 2 different excuses for not turning over the model? One in 2007, one in 2009.
Is
Did I
this
say anything
question-
false about
No, I'm asking
Simcoe
you
County
the
stalling
questions
this
about the
process?
model we're talking about, right?
My main question is, did I say anything false? Point it out.
I'm not going to... You said so much, I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Sit down.
Understood. The question is about the model, right?